Welcome to the Arrington Gavin Show. Real talk, big opinions, and fearless conversations. From the front lines of politics to the latest in pop culture. From breaking sports headlines to the stories that move the world. Nothing's off limits, and nobody's holding back. Arrington Gavin is here to break it down, build it up, and keep it all the way real. So turn it up, lean in, and let's get into it. This is the Arrington Gavin Show.
My friends, welcome to the Arrington Gavin Show. Another great episode of the Arrington Gavin Show, your go-to spot for sharp insights, bold opinions, and unfiltered take on the biggest stories of the day, whether it's politics, sports, pop culture, or the latest. Look, we're diving deep and keeping it real, so please do me a favor. Kick back, stay informed, and get ready to join the conversation. Now, look, on tonight's conversation, we head down to the Sunshine State, where the battle for Florida's political future is already heating up. Democratic State Representative ANGIE NIXON is stepping into the national spotlight with the campaign focused on affordability, healthcare, workers' rights, immigration, and taking on what she calls a system built for the wealthy and well-connected. But let's be honest, Florida is not an easy state for Democrats right now. Republicans dominate statewide politics. Governor Ron DeSantis reshaped the political landscape, and many voters are frustrated with both parties over the economy, housing costs, and political division. So the big question will be, can Representative ANGIE NIXON connect with everyday Floridians beyond the Democratic base, and does her vision what Florida voters actually want in 2026? I'm telling you, we've seen a lot of flips. I will say this: I've mentioned earlier there was a race that, there was an election that happened in a Trump district that was flipped blue. A lot of folks are frustrated. We have an administration right now in Washington that is. Look, I try to not talk as much because it really raises up my pressure. I know we've just recently talked on the last show in regards to the $1.7 billion slush fund. I mean, we all saw, we all witnessed what we saw January 6th, right? Okay, I just want to make sure I wasn't losing my mind, because I told my wife, I'm like, are you watching, White House down, Olympus has fallen? No, this is happening in real time. Yet, because they broke the law, but it was in the name of somebody in Washington. Well, let me not go on my rant, but look, I'm excited to have on Representative ANGIE NIXON on, because look, she has been going very viral, speaking truth to power and standing up to what's right in the state of Florida. Before we get going with our conversation, y'all, as always, I want to thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule for tuning in to yet another great episode here on the Arrington Gavin Show. As you know, we drop new episodes weeknights at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube, as well as wherever you get your podcasts, whether that's iHeart, Spotify, Apple, just to name a few. You can also check us out on the radio airways. Shout out to our affiliates, KHP 1400 AM or 7.1 FM Las Vegas, listening to the Arrington Gavin Show Friday at 8 p.m. Pacific time. Again, that's on KSHP Las Vegas. And then we're going to head over to the Metro Atlanta area to WDJY 99.1 FM Straight Talk, where you can tune into the Arrington Gavin Show weeknights at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then we're going to head over to New Orleans to WBOK 1230 a.m., where you can listen in to the program weeknights at 7 p.m. Central. Of course, you can check this episode of the Arrington Gavin Show on GOATverse TV. If you haven't downloaded the app yet, please do so. It's available on the App Store, Google Store, as well as Amazon TV. And what else do we have? Oh, and also, if you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do so. We will hit 5,000 by the end of the year, and we can't do it without your help. We have been seeing improvement each and every day, which I thank you so much. And if you want to stay with the conversation or stay up to speed on recent episodes, visit our website, www.agshow.com. Friends, I hope you all are having an evening. Look, I want to shout out my main man, Mr. Adam Tomlin. I was recently a guest on his show called Act Out Podcast, and the man left me with some goodies, man. You should look at the merch here. Look at the merch. Got the Act Out Podcast hat. I appreciate it, as well as the t-shirt. I always love connecting with my fellow content creators. Look at that shirt right there. So I told him, I made sure I wanted to shout out his podcast, where you can follow him on all platforms where you get your podcast at, called Act Out Podcast, hosted by Adam Tomlin. Okay, my friends. Well, look, we're going to head to a quick break. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, I'll be joining with Florida State Representative Ms. Angie Nixon. You're listening to the Arrington Gavin Show. Don't go anywhere, and do not change that dial.
Every man has a story to tell. Your ambitions, your achievements, your legacy. Your suit should reflect that story, crafted precisely, designed for impact, and tailored exclusively for you. We work with only the finest fabrics, luxurious wools, silk, linen, and blends from world-renowned mills in Italy, the UK, and India. These fabrics are the foundation of custom suits that exude elegance and stand the test of time. But a suit isn't just about fabric, it's about fit, and it's about confidence, and it all starts with you. When you work with me, you'll receive a personalized consultation, whether in person or over Zoom. Together, we'll explore your vision and discuss your needs, and we're going to bring your ideas to life. My journey as a designer includes apprenticing under New York-based designer Clavon Leonard, showcasing collections at New York Fashion Week, Algeria Fashion Week, and the prestigious Baltimore Met Gala. That experience is what we bring to every suit we create, from weddings to corporate events and everything in between. We specialize in crafting one-of-a-kind suits for life's most significant moments. Dapper Luke has been recognized as one of Baltimore's best menswear in 2023, and I was honored to be one of the 10 designers selected for the prestigious Baltimore Met Gala. With over 900 satisfied clients, we proudly serve Virginia Beach and Baltimore, bringing world-class designs to these incredible communities. We don't just make suits, we craft confidence. Your suit will fit your body, your style, and it will tell your story. Book your free online personal consultation today. Visit www.dapperluke.com.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to.
And we still in traffic.
I don't look familiar, do I? Not in this seat.
Hey, what's that you listening to?
Here to host today.
Hey, turn it up.
With me?
Yeah, that's that new GoatVerse app. I got you.
So y'all want to know where the goats are? They're off on the sidelines.
Looking for fresh, relevant content wherever you go?
What was the name of that he said?
Introducing GoatVerse TV.
GoatVerse, that's what it's called.
The free streaming app that brings you the best podcasts, current events, and thought-provoking opinions all in one place. Download it now from the Apple Store or Play Store. In GOATs, we trust.
6'10", #1 pick, 16 seasons, College Player of the Year, All-Rookie Standout. Joe Smith built a career on grit, consistency, and showing up.
Greatness isn't just about the game. It's about how you show up every day. Rugged Evolution now offers body care products for every man, because not every man wears a beard, but every man deserves care. Greatness doesn't fade.
It evolves. Rugged Evolution Beard Care. Every beard deserves to be legendary, and every man deserves care. What's going on, my friends? Welcome back to the show. As I mentioned, I'm honored to have on special guest, Florida State Representative Ms. Angie Nixon, who represents District 14 out of Florida. And look, I came across of Nixon. Let me tell you something. There are some big elections happening across this nation, right? We have important midterm elections happening, again, congressional as well as Senate races. And there was a video that went viral, and I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, I read the story, and I'm like, oh snap. I'm like, and I'm like, I've got to have this show, because, you know, for me, I love seeing elections fighting for the people and for what's right. You know, they say silent doesn't help, right? You have to be vocal, you have to speak out, again, speaking truth to power. Let me go ahead and share this clip here. Again, this viral clip you can catch on social media, or, you know, it was on the news airwaves as well. And I wanted to play it for you all. As you know, we have this redistricting issue happening across really this nation. We here in Virginia, we had a massive campaign, a redistricting campaign, where over 3 million people voted in favor for the redistricting and for the change in congressional maps. But then we have a Supreme Court that says, no, and struck it down. And so it's unfortunate, but hey, that's what happened. But now we see other states that are getting calls from Washington saying, hey, look, I'm entitled for more seats, more congressional seats. And so we have Florida in one of them. Texas already, made it. Louisiana, I'm missing Tennessee. Okay, Tennessee went from a 8-1 to trying to make it a 9-0. I mean, come on. So let me go ahead and play this clip here, and then we'll bring on the representative shortly. Let me tell you something. Making your voice, she made sure they heard her, right? She made sure, she was making sure they heard her. Without further ado, let me go ahead and bring on our special guest, Florida State Representative Angie Nixon. Representative, thank you so much for being on and taking the time out your busy schedule.
For sure. I'm so excited to be here with you.
Look, the pleasure's all mine. I just played the clip for our audience, a very viral video where you made your voice heard, because what you saw was, again, it's a shame that we see this happen in 2026. If you don't mind, before we discuss a little bit of that video, for our audience, your show, give us a little, just a brief background about yourself and really what led you to serve as an elected official for the state of Florida.
Yeah, for sure. So I am born and raised here in Florida, in Jacksonville, Florida. I am actually a wife. I'm a mother of 5. My mom was a member of CWA 3106, so I'm a union baby. My dad is a retired Army sergeant. And I decided to run for office because I lost my cousin to the school to prison pipeline, my favorite cousin. And what's interesting is he actually went to neighborhood schools when I was actually bused across town. And so I had the opportunity to be exposed to a public school, a magnet school that actually had a lot more resources than my neighborhood schools. And I wound up going to a high school, the #1 high school in the nation at the time. It was called Stanton College Preparatory High School. And my cousin got into some trouble at a neighborhood school. And what's interesting is he got sent to an alternative school where he learned some alternative things. But a lot of the students at Stanton there were students at Stanton that got in trouble too, that did the same thing that he did, but they didn't get sent to an alternative school, because why would you send the best and brightest to an alternative school? You want to make it seem as though you have no disciplinary problems. So long story short and fast forward, I went off to school, and about a year after I graduated from the University of Florida, I came back. I actually had a daughter, and my cousin got shot and killed by someone who was supposedly his friend. And as I stood in front of the church and speaking at my cousin's funeral, I looked out in the audience at my daughter and my cousin's son. And I realized then and there that I didn't want my daughter to have to bury her favorite cousin the same way that I was burying mine. And so I decided to get involved, because I believe that no matter what zip code you live in, every child should have access to quality education. And so I really got involved in advocating for education, and I became a community organizer. And there was a woman who was in my seat before me, and she said things like she thanks God for slavery. If it wasn't for slavery, we'd be in Africa somewhere worshiping a tree. And yeah, she said that. And I was trying to get people to run against her. No one wanted to do it, because every time she ran, she would beat folks. And so I couldn't find anyone. So I decided to run against her, and I unseated her. And I was able to unseat her because of the reputation that I had built as a community organizer over the years. And so I am here. Long story short, I am here, and now I am running for United States Senate. I'm running for Senate because change can't wait. Like, folks are literally in Florida and all across this country. They can't keep waiting for things to get better someday. And so I think now is the time for us to send regular everyday folks to Washington, D.C., because I believe hardworking everyday people should get to shape what their economies look like and what their communities look like. And right now, the folks in power, they ain't just regular everyday hardworking folks. The folks in power are millionaires and billionaires or people that are beholden to corporations. And so I am here.
No, and I couldn't agree with you more. We do see lack of representation in their positions, and I've been very vocal. I'm like, one of my biggest goals with this program is to encourage the young voters, because a lot of young voters feel like, why bother, right? We see what's going on. Why even bother? Is it really to vote? Really count? Same old in office, getting reelected, as you mentioned, people refusing or not trying to run against this individual and don't take it serious. And I do think sometimes there's lack of representation, because I see it here in Virginia. We might have long-standing folks in office that's been in office for a little too long. Then we have folks that do. I mean, hell, we had a representative that went viral for agreeing with the man who said he can take his cotton picking hands back to New York. And I mean, we had a congresswoman that agreed with those issues. Oh, I think we might have lost state rep. I think she's still with us. I think we had a little technical difficulties. We're gonna try and get back there. All right, y'all. We have a little bit of technical difficulties. No worries. We getting good. See, whenever we start speaking truth to power, it starts getting, the technology starts affecting all that good stuff. But we're gonna continue to see how we can get Representative Nixon on. I think I see. Let me see if she can. I'm not sure. I think she's on. We're gonna figure this out, y'all. Do not go anywhere. We're gonna take a quick break. When we come back, we'll have the representative back on. Let's see here. A quick break. Arrington Gavin trying to handle Representative Nixon's mic right there. Okay, here we go. I think we have her. Oh, there we go.
I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Like I told the audience, look, whenever we start speaking truth to power,
they try to shut us down.
I'm just saying. But I was speaking on, we had a representative here in Virginia, and this was very recent. And I mean, agreed instead of saying, hold on, stopping that person saying, look, we can agree to disagree, but I will not, condone. And I used the example of like a John McCain, because at the time when he was he stopped that lady who was speaking about his opponent. Anyway, I say all that to say it's sad that in 2026 we're seeing this occur. And as I mentioned earlier, I mean, just that clip of you in the chambers with the megaphone, by the way, was the megaphone playing? I'm just curious. Did you just keep that in your office?
It was. And I want to be clear, Arrington, like some folks are saying, oh, I tried to do that to raise my name ID and all the things. I want to be clear. I did a peaceful protest on the House floor in 2022 when they were unconstitutionally removing Black congressional districts. So I am nothing short of consistent. And anytime they do something that is going to harm my community in such a way where they're trying to diminish our power and our voice, I'm going to stand up and speak out. What people fail to realize is that the folks that are in power right now, they are not good adversaries. An adversary implies that they are someone who is acting in good faith. These people are destroying our institutions. And so therefore, what good is that? What good is having decorum if democracy is falling, if our country is falling? I'm sorry, they are not playing by the rules. They just established a slush fund for people who try to overthrow the US government. And folks want to have a problem with me pulling out a bullhorn. Are you serious? And then the governor just had me arrested.
Yes, I was gonna bring
Because,
that up. Yes.
right, like it's just wild to me.
It's more wild because, and thank you for bringing, as I mentioned earlier about the slush fund, and then you mentioned you were arrested for sitting for what you were in or outside of the office.
It was inside his
peacefully,
total
by the way.
office. Yeah, exactly. Just sitting there, just waiting,
Just
right?
chilling.
Oh, chilling. I was sitting like his room. There's a room. I guess it's like the entryway, and I was sitting inside of that, and like they usually close that up at 5 o'clock, but I was like, no, I'm gonna wait on him. And so, they decided to arrest me and 3 other people. I've never been in handcuffs before, Arrington. I was so.
It's disgusting because it use the state of Florida as a prime example of issues happening in our nation, because I first came to not love Florida. So I mean, Florida's a very beautiful state. Weather's good. I've visited many times in the tour in the your tourist areas. I mean, the Miami, the Orlando's, all that good stuff, Fort Lauderdale. Overall, I've noticed that when it was time to remove African American studies, what state did that come from? Or from university? I'm like, whoa, like what is the. And it breaks my heart because they use Florida sometimes as like the pinnacle of like, okay, let's repeat. A lot of red states are saying let's repeat. I want to ask you two things, Representative. You've mentioned you were a community activist. You still are a community activist. I just want to you're
organizer.
Organizer. But you were heavily involved in the community. I feel as though you have people where the folks follow the community follows these organizers and say, look, man, why don't you run? I'm trying to figure out, like, why is it? I don't know if it's a hesitation or why do we see more folks that have been heavily involved in the community not running for office? If I make sense, this was kind of wobbly, but like, what, like, what's your take? I mean, you've been involved.
I'll tell you. Yeah, I'll tell you why. Because we get demonized. Politics is a really nasty game, especially during campaign season. So the same woman that I stated I ran against, she sent out a text message. Her camp sent out a text message to thousands of people with lies saying that I broke up a happy home. I was pregnant by a married man, because I was pregnant at the time with my now husband. But it was like they sent that out.
Wow.
It was just they paid someone to act as my husband's ex-wife and make a phone call that went out to a bunch of people to say that I broke up their home. It like they get so dirty, and people dirty and desperate. Right. And people don't want to bring their families in there. And it's just so nasty. And so that's why a lot of good people decide not to run. And I understand. And also another thing is money, right? Like they will box you out. You need money to run. And some people just, the status quo, power conceives nothing without demand, right?
Very true.
And so the status quo is like trying to hold on to power at all costs. And so they're doing all these things just to stay in power. And so it's going to be tough. But again, like if you have that history of being in a community, I believe there's 2 types of power. There's organized people and there's organized money. Organized money is winning right now, but that's because the people aren't organized. But organized people will beat organized money any day. We just have to get organized. And so that's the thing.
I agree. My second question was, Representative, why now run for U.S. Senate, especially in a state, in my opinion, I consider Florida very red, a Republican state that has increasingly dominated, I guess their status quo. Like, why now run for U.S. Senate?
I mean, because change can't wait. We're literally in a time where people are saying things like they want to make America great again. they want to return us back to the good old days. But the reality of it is, like, the good old days were never good enough for all of us. They weren't good enough for Black people. They weren't good enough for women. They weren't good enough for workers. And so I have 5 kids. Me and my husband, we have a blended family. And I want to leave this country a better place than what they have right now. And so I just couldn't sit idly by and not stand up and do anything. And I'm just tired of all the BS. And like I stated earlier, like, my value statement is, I believe that hardworking everyday people should get to shape what their communities look like and what their economies look like. And, like, if you think about it, like, can you imagine what our country would be like if we had janitors, teachers, nurses, school bus drivers, or bus drivers in general, firefighters? If we had all of those folks in Washington, D.C., if they were our lawmakers, imagine what type of legislation that they would draft and craft, right? It would be the complete opposite of what we're seeing coming out of Washington, D.C. And so why is it that the majority of the people who have these type of working class jobs, why is it that they aren't the ones determining the way and the direction of our country? Absolutely. I'm tired of the billionaire class and the ultra millionaire class, like, running the show. That's why we always see tax breaks for the rich. That's why we always see these tax giveaways to these corporations. That's why we see that the minimum wage has not been increased to past $7.25 for years, right? That is a direct slap in the face of just regular everyday people. And I am ready for regular everyday people to rise up and to actually, like, run this country.
Absolutely. And it's comical to me when I see an administration that says, the economy is great. Grocery prices are going down. Gas prices are going down. By the way, I'm pumping my gas over in Virginia, and that premium done hit almost about $5.30. And I'm over here, like, saying, I'm trying to get every drop, Representative. I'm trying to get every drop. I'm over here shaking that knob.
Arrington, so you got one of them nice rides, huh? You got that premium. I'm still on my unleaded. I'm on my unleaded deal.
Listen. Trust me. After these prices, I done came down to. I went to mid grade, and I said I'm about to ask if I can do regular because it's just insane. I hate the fact that we have an administration in Washington that thinks we're stupid. They're like, everything is good and dandy, but wait a minute, affordability is not affordable, so affordable anymore. I really don't think there is such thing as housing affordability at the moment. I mentioned about the gas prices. It is a shame. And yet we have a man that's trying to change the GOP rebuild the GOP over fear, because I'm not trying to change the subject, but there were primaries that occurred, and you had 2 individuals in his party that was speaking against him. Critics can call him, and he voted them out. He said, "Oh, we gotta get them out there." So they primary because they spoke truth to power. I'm gonna stand up to her, and that's unfortunate that it's almost like a mafia kind of vibe there. But I want to get back to your campaign, Representative, because we mentioned about the economy and affordability. You're campaigning heavily on affordability and lowering costs for working families. Now, what are 3 specific things you would push for immediately if elected?
Yeah, for sure. So one of the things, I'm not sure if you know, but medical debt is the leading cause of bankruptcy. Like, absolutely wild to me. And the fact that they failed to extend the ACA subsidies, which has caused healthcare premiums to go skyrocket up. Wow. And the state of Florida had the largest amount of enrollees in the marketplace on ACA. And so the first thing that I'm doing is trying to figure out ways in which we can go back and work to extend these subsidies so that we can demand these companies open up re-enrollment again and drive down these costs for healthcare, because also private insurance has gone up. So that's number one. And then I want to push to actually reform ACA, the Affordable Care Act, and then really make an even harder push so that we can push towards Medicare for all. it's too many people that are rationing their medicine, their prescriptions because they can't afford it. It's too many people prolonging surgeries that they need to go through because they don't have access to quality health care. So that's number one. Number two, I have a 5-year-old, and I'm still, even though she's in VPK, I'm still paying $1,000 a month. And I have heard that there in the state of Florida, the average cost of early childhood education is between $800 and $1,400. However, in Boston, my friend, she has her child. The last time she told me she was paying like $4,500 a month when she had her newborn. That's a mortgage, okay?
Let me tell you something, and it's funny because not to get too personal, but folks always ask my wife and I, so when y'all gonna have kids? I said, because we have a dog, and that dog is a lot. That dog got insurance and everything. But I mean, you mentioned it. You hit a good point because I think in today's day and age, a lot of millennials and even some of the Gen Zers, like, they're not thinking about they're saying, a lot of people are having children. What? I mean, it's like it's we would love to, but it really is it's a not, I want to say a gamble, but it is a risk, right? You do have to really make you have everything in place because it can get expensive.
It can get very expensive. It is very costly. And so, definitely want to basically cap childcare costs at $10 a day so that we can subsidize that on a federal level, and then work to push for, I believe in universal early childhood education. I think that it should just be like K through 12. K through 12 is free. Why isn't early childhood education free as well, right? Like, that's what needs to happen. And then finally, I believe that we need to overturn Citizens United. I believe that we need to get big money out of politics, and we need to stop allowing corporations to make donations to campaigns. It should not happen at all. And I also believe we need to put a cap at how much money that a person can donate. Right now, the cap on the federal level is $3,500 in the primary and $3,500 in the general election if you make it to the general. I think that needs to be way lower so that working families, working people can have more equitable play and stakes in campaigns. And so those are the three things that I would push for. And also, like, I believe in term limits. I would push for term limits because we shouldn't be dying in office. Like, that's absolutely ridiculous to me. I also believe that the Supreme Court needs to have some term limits as well. Yes. They shouldn't be dying there. And so those are a few of the things that I believe in.
Yeah, I mean, those are things that I know a lot of folks and myself could highly agree on because, for one, you mentioned about the residents having a saying in these elections, because the word of the year for me was my word that I always stick with is transparency. I feel as though people think there is a huge disconnect and a lack of trust from elected leaders and the people. And it's like, okay, I feel like I don't have a saying, so I add that to say, why even bother on pursuing this election? I mean, how many people did not vote? I'm gonna just use the last presidential election for example. Like, there was a lot of people that avoided voting because they just felt that, like, whatever, it's not my problem. We're gonna see the same old kind of thing. And then also you mentioned about the I'm having a brain fart. I think it was in regards to affordability. No, well, my mind goes off a bit.
No, you're fine. So I talked about healthcare, early childhood education, and then ending Citizens United.
I'm sorry, term limits. I apologize. It was term limits.
Yeah.
Yes, term limit, because this past year alone, I think Congress had lost 5 individuals that were ill, but there was a representative in the state of Georgia who was running for re-election at the age of 80, but he was wheelchaired in to serve his papers for re-election. I just think that was, I think, there's a position where you put made in your time and you should be some form of like a mentor to the next, because trust me, there's young people that are ready to pursue office. There was a program I was watching, and a gentleman, well, I was at a forum. I'm sorry. I was at a forum, and the moderator had, asked the crowd by show of hands, hey, look, if you're in this age demographic, raise your hand. If you're in this age demographic, raise your hand. 18 to 35, raise your hand. It was not a lot of people there. So his example was saying, well, look, you can't say, you don't want to be involved, or you want term limits, and you don't go to the party. And I'm like, well, there are people, but I just sometimes feel as though it's more to it, right? I hate to say it, but you have the establishment that's also going to cater to their key people, and then it's just the money alone. It's a lot. So I couldn't agree more on that, Representative. Also, I've noticed in the state of Florida, it's starting to be more expensive to live in the state of Florida. A lot of people,
it's more expensive just to be alive. Just to be alive, it costs way too much money.
It is, and it's with Florida having so many things, right? Obviously, the theme parks, Disney, all the corporations, moved to Florida. Has that affected those residents that have lived there for years, saying, I don't know if I can continue to afford living in Florida?
Yeah, I had a conversation with several people today, and they told me that they're moving out of the state.
Wow.
They can't afford to live here. And I've heard that my entire 6 years in office. And it's sad that it's that way, but I mean, it's intentional. The folks that are in power, it's intentional. I'm in a super minority. They don't even need us to show up. They can pass bills. They have a quorum. They don't need us.
Wow.
And so it's wild. But Arrington, it doesn't have to be this way. It does not. We just need to make sure that we change the players, and you change the players by electing new ones.
Absolutely. And we have been seeing big changes in Florida. I've mentioned.
Yeah, we've seen some. Yeah, there have been some flips.
Historic changes. Speaks volumes, because even though it's small, but it does raise a huge impact on saying, hey, look, there is a shift.
Yeah, we actually flipped a seat over in the Tampa Bay area, as well as flipped a seat. We flipped the seat that Trump lives in. So his own backyard in Mar-a-Lago, that is now a Democratic district.
I know. I don't think he was doing his little dance with that one. I want to ask you, Representative, what would you say then for middle class Floridians who feel, in a sense, both parties have failed them economically?
I would say they're right. I mean, listen, I am not the Democrat that is like, oh, the Democratic Party is the savior, this and that. I am very critical of my party as well, because they need to do better, right? Like, there's too many corporate Dems that are in our party. There's too many corporate Dems that are beholden to the Democratic, that are beholden to big corporations. And so it sucks that my husband says, oh, the Democratic Party is like it, and the Republican Party, they're two different wings on the same bird. And I mean, he's telling the truth. That's how he feels. And that's how I see it as well, being in this process. And that's what the leadership is. That's what the establishment is. They are beholden to these special interest groups. And so when I become a U.S. Senator, I would definitely not vote in support of Chuck Schumer being the leader. The caucus needs another leader. I would look to someone like the Elizabeth Warren or a Bernie Sanders, someone like that, because they understand that we cannot keep propping up these corporations. We have to actually start listening to people. And so, but I would say that the Democrats are way better than the Republicans. But I would also say that my primary opponent may not be any better than a Republican. He may be Republican light, just based on the way he's been moving and some of the things that he has said. And so I'm the only one in the primary that has said anything about the voting rights being attacked. I'm the only one in the primary that has spoken out against women's rights being attacked. I'm the only one that is not accepting AIPAC money. I'm the only one that would not support sending arms to Israel, offensive or defensive. and money over there. And so it's like,
I love, for one, I couldn't agree more with your husband, because in my audience knows I ride in the middle for a reason. I get frustrated with both sides, but I will say, to agree with you, there is one side that is far more better than the other. As of right now, there is one side that is straight up tripping. I want to talk about immigration and border security, because I know you've spoken a lot about that, and that's important in your campaign as well. You standing up for immigrants. Where do you personally draw the line between compassionate reform and border enforcement?
So I believe that ICE should be abolished, and I believe that the Border Patrol should do their jobs and secure the border. And I also believe that, like, if we're worried about trafficking, we should make sure that the FBI and the DEA do their jobs in regards to, like, stopping trafficking and preventing trafficking from happening, right? And I believe there does need to be compassion. There needs to be comprehensive and compassionate immigration reform. I know that I support mixed status families. I support those mixed status families getting their citizenship, the ones that are here on green cards and keep having to reapply over and over and over again. I believe like it's a money grab. I believe it's also a way in which they can just keep people in limbo simply because they want to. Or because they want to one day say, hey, I'm about to deport y'all, and they actually gonna detain people. And I want to be clear, they are not really mass deporting people like they say they're doing. They're mass detaining people because it's profitable, because a lot of these detention centers are privatized. And so it's all about a money grab for people. And so that's the problem. But I support TPS status for Haitians. I support TPS status for Cubans, or what, and Venezuelans, like, and we need to just make sure that we are taking more of a stance, a diplomatic stance, because that's not what's happening right now. What Donald Trump and Marco Rubio are doing is they are basically acting like bullies and trying to take over other countries. That's the colonizing mindset, and I am not for that. We need to allow the people in those countries to have self-determination and determine like what the direction that they want their countries to go. We should not just be trying to like take over their economies and all that stuff so that it benefits Trump's campaign donors or his family and friends, right? Like, we need to make sure that those people are good and like that they decide to do whatever it is that they want to do, and we just support that. Like, we got to stay out of people's business. We got a lot to handle over here.
That's what. See, man, let me tell you something. Now, Representative, is a great state. If you ever think about, let me stop, because I'm hearing you.
Fix my state, bro.
I know. It's just when I'm hearing this, I'm like, but I want to move it to healthcare. So, healthcare costs, and you mentioned it a little bit earlier in the conversation we've been having. Healthcare costs remain a huge issue in Florida, especially for seniors and working families. Now, what changes do you believe are most urgently needed as of right now?
Yeah, for sure. Like I say, that I think we need to go back to the drawing board, and like we need to extend the ACA subsidies. That's what needs to happen right now. Like, quick, fast, and in a hurry. That would dramatically bring down the cost of those premiums and allow, like, we need to go back to what it was, and then we need to work to reform the ACA and then make a push to Medicare for all. But like, that's an easy step to do and to take first off.
Yeah, and I knew you mentioned that. I want to go back to it because it really is an important conversation, or just an important topic, because I talk with a lot of my my friends just in general. Just I go around different groups and different communities, and I have a friend that works at an outreach program, and I just asked, I'm like, hey, look, I'm curious, what is their story? What has led them to getting homeless? Because we're a military town. We have a lot of military bases. So I'm like, I know there's a number of veterans that go homeless, which is a shame. But he said, man, healthcare. He said when they get sick and they don't have the money to afford health, that's what I'm just like, whoa, and it blew my mind, and it's sad because really, I don't know, for me, healthcare should be here in the United States, country in the world, and it shouldn't be to where we have to pay an arm and a leg to get checkups or anything like that. It's a lot, but that's a whole nother conversation, Representative.
No, for sure. It doesn't have to be this way. And I mean, it's profitable. So that's what
It's
what
always
it all
about the
boils
money.
down to. It's always about the money.
It's
That's what it
always
boils
about
down
the
to.
money.
That is what it boils down to.
When it comes to crime, public safety, and gun violence, now you've spoken publicly, about losing your cousin. How has that shaped your stance just on gun policy?
Yeah, for sure. So I think we need to make sure that we are working on gun violence prevention. I believe everybody has a right to, bear arms. My husband has guns, but I think we need to have, smart, common sense gun laws. I believe that if somebody has a history of domestic violence, I don't think they should have access to a gun. I just lost a friend. Her husband was a gun advocate, and he shot her. He blew her up with a shotgun, and she was the vice mayor of Coral Springs.
I read about that story. I'm sorry for your loss too.
Thank you. And then it was someone in Virginia recently too, right? Justin Fairfax, right? It was at Virginia. Yes, Virginia.
That was Virginia. He was a former lieutenant governor and a person I have met a few times in person. Very nice guy. It's still a story that is shaking up just as much as I know the story with the tragedy that happened in Florida is still shaking up the state, because again, we heard that story all the way here in the Commonwealth of Virginia, and again, I mean, I truly, I'm sorry for your loss, because she was very lovely. Of what I read, what I heard, the pictures, it's a shame. And I'll be honest, and I'm all for, protecting your household. Everybody should have the right to add, extra security, because sometimes them security systems ain't gonna help. So you gotta have a little, this say peace be still. So you gotta have a little piece of steel household. But I feel as though, like, our country is has a very, like, we're a gun happy nation. We have such a gun happy culture. It's just it worries me, because I'll just be honest. I see, if I'm going to a grocery store, I see somebody that's not in law enforcement just having their weapon. It does look. I keep my eye out. I just because I don't know what kind of day they having, and
exactly. And people are so stressed out right now. People's tempers are short. We're seeing it all the time. Road rage incidents is becoming violent. And it's too much. We need to make sure that we are really investing in mental health resources. I believe everybody should go to a mental health provider at least once a month, at least once a month. And so we need to work on making it less taboo, particularly within the Black community, as it relates to mental health.
Absolutely. And with Florida being very strong, what I've read, Florida being strong in the being a strong Second Amendment state. Now, how do you, because you're running for U.S. Senate, how do you convince lawful gun owners that Democrats are not trying to take away their rights? Because I feel as though it's always a talking point whenever you have gun owners saying, they're taking away my guns, they're taking them away.
I'm gonna let them know my household has guns, several guns, right? But I do believe, like, folks need to be trained on them. Excuse me. I do believe 18-year-olds should not have access to firearms. I believe it needs to stay at 21. And so those are the things. Their brains are still developing. And I just, I'm not trying to take anybody's guns. I have guns. And so that's all I can say is, like, I'm not trying to take your guns.
I got to talk back about this. I got to talk more about on this congressional maps and redistricting battle happening across the nation, but it's definitely happening in your state. Now, you've been outspoken against Florida's congressional maps and redistricting battles. Obviously, I played the clip earlier before we brought you on. And critics, Democrats only complain about when Republicans do it. Now, is there hypocrisy on both sides in your opinion? I mean, what's your take? What's
No,
your take
it's
on
not
that?
hypocrisy on both sides. The reason it's not
Mhm.
hypocrisy on both sides is because the Democrats have always went to the people, to the voters, to ask them if they wanted to allow for redistricting. The reason I have a problem with these Republicans is because they're only doing this because Trump asked them to do it in the first place. Like even here in the state of Florida, it's illegal. We voted in 2010 on a constitutional ballot amendment, and we said that we would not allow partisan gerrymandering. They decided to do it anyway. The reason we know they decided to do it anyway is because Ron DeSantis released the maps to Fox News, color-coded blue and red, to illustrate the seats that the Democrats were going to lose that would now be turned to red to the Republican seats, right? And so also, it wasn't his job to draw maps. It is the job of the state legislators. And so it is, I have a problem with that, which is why I had a pink megaphone to push back on them.
How did, because again, our listeners and viewers here just saw a brief clip of that. By any chance, how did it end? After, how did that clip end?
They voted anyway. But it's okay because you realize what was happening. A lot of people don't when folks say the South, they don't think of Florida as the South. And I'm sure it's because we have like an immigrant population, but Florida is very much still good old boy network.
Mhm.
You hear this drawl in my voice, this twang that I have. We are in fact the South, right?
Mhm.
I am a Florida native. My family comes from Southern Georgia, but like we are still like, sundown town in
Yeah.
some areas. And so people need to realize that. And these good old boys are trying to stay in power and hold on to power at all costs. And so that's why they're passing that's why they pass these maps. That's why they try to enhance penalties in regards to certain crimes, right? Because they want to cause people to lose their voting rights because they want to make more money off these people because they have private prisons and a lot of them have stock in private prisons. And so
Wow.
that's what we're seeing.
Representative, we're almost coming to a close. We got a few questions. We've tackled crime, we've tackled healthcare, we tackled the economy. What are some other I want to say issues that you're campaigning on that I might have left out, if you don't mind sharing?
Yeah, for sure. So I believe that veterans need to be taken care of even more so than what they are. My dad is a veteran. We need to make sure that the VA is fully staffed so that there's not any wait times in regards to people reaching out to them and being connected to the resources that they need. We need to make sure that we're trying to get our veterans off the street. A lot of them need long-term supportive housing with wraparound services just because they're suffering from PTSD or depression, or they may have some type of alcoholism, or maybe on drugs, some type of substance abuse. And so my main, like we, especially in Jacksonville where I am a lawmaker, we are a Navy town, and so we have 2 Navy bases, and we see a lot. I see a lot of things. I see a lot of military guys that are living on the streets, and it's just awful, especially since they serve this country. Gavin?
All right, y'all. Sorry about that. We had a bit of technical difficulties. I'm telling you, Representative, somebody listen to this conversation. Thank you for sticking on the line.
Yeah, for sure.
Over here, but we might have left off on mentioning.
Well, I was talking about veterans is another issue that I wanted to address, the issues that veterans may have. So yeah.
Absolutely. I want to, we've talked a lot about the issues happening and why you're running, but what makes Florida beautiful? Like, if say I'm a person that's checking out the state of Florida and possibly move, you're home, you're a Floridian lifelong. What makes it so beautiful?
Yeah, so Florida is a beautiful place. We have a ton of beaches. We have a ton of parks and preserves and springs, the Everglades, a lot of stuff. And then like we speak to people when we see them. Hey, how you doing? We have that Southern hospitality, like that's real, And so I love my state and the people that live in it. And I've had the opportunity to move to DC, to California, New York. I've gotten offered jobs, but I just love my state. It's a beautiful place. It's warm for the most part year round, except like in North Florida where I'm at, it gets a little chill. I mean, it's chilly to me because when it drops to 70, I'm like, woo, let me put on the sweater,
get out of here. Drop to 70. Lord have mercy. Look, that's ideal temp right there. Well, Representative, again, I thank you so much. I have your site for those who are watching, but I guess my final quick question will be, why should voters vote for Representative Angie Nixon to be the next U.S. Senator for Florida?
Yes. So folks should donate to me to become the next United States Senator in Florida. But folks should vote for me because I am someone who just really cares about the community. I am someone who believes that it's time to shake things up in Washington, D.C. We cannot continue the status quo. We are boldly being attacked, and this moment requires bold leadership. I have shown you that I am a bold leader.
I am scared.
Right. I ain't never scared. And I am willing to get arrested if it means like doing the right thing and standing up for the people and ensuring that they have a voice and that they have power. And so I ask folks to join my campaign, visit my website, sign up. You can volunteer. And even more, you can donate. We have folks that donate $1. I wish you donate more, but everything we accept. And I'm just super excited about this campaign. And I look forward to winning in August and then winning in November as well.
Again, Representative, thank you so much. For those who have the website on AngieNixon.com, if you have more info and stay in touch with the representative. And hey, if you want to support her campaign. Representative, I thank you so much. If you don't mind, I would love to if you mind staying on the line for just a couple seconds after this show. But again, I thank you so much and best of luck on your campaign. Look, if I was in Florida right now, I decision. Again, I thank you for coming here on the show, and don't be a stranger.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Well, my friends, I hope you all enjoyed yet another great convo here on the Arrington Gavin Show. Until next time, my friends, y'all be easy, stay blessed, stay safe out there, and please always stay informed. I want to thank Florida State Representative Ms. Angie Nixon, candidate running for U.S. Senate in the state of Florida. Again, be on the lookout because Florida is there's some big elections happening, and there could possibly be some historic flips as well. I will talk to y'all next time on another great convo here on the Arrington Gavin Show. Peace and blessings. I'm out.
That's it for tonight on the Arrington Gavin Show. Thanks for tapping in and keeping the conversation alive. Don't forget, stay connected with us on all platforms. Follow at Arrington Gavin on Instagram, Blue Sky, and X, and subscribe to the official Substack for exclusive takes and deep dives you won't get anywhere else. We're here every weeknight, same time, same energy, same real talk. Until next time, stay bold, stay sharp, and stay true. That's what we do on the Arrington Gavin Show. Peace.